I wish to create this part in Mastercam. It's simple line construction. I'm going to start by creating the part in the wrong view, so I can also show you how to correct that if you're wrong. So I'm going to start with the right side view, but I'm going to put it in the top view, and it's a simple fix to move the part around. So if I want to create my T-slot, first I'm going to create a new part file. Before I go any further, I'm going to save it right away so I don't forget. And I'm going to navigate to where I want to save my file. And I'm going to call this one T-slot. By default, I'm creating geometry in the top view. I'm going to change my line color for wireframes to green number 10 and say OK. I'm going to activate the create line, and I'm going to do this best by creating vertical and horizontal lines and trimming them out. Alright, I've split my screen so we can see the sizes of the geometry while I create it. So I'm not going to worry about my zero. I'm just going to start from the top and work down. We'll fix the zero later because I also have to move this geometry to the right plane. So I'm going to create a horizontal line. So I've activate the line command. It tells me to specify the first endpoint. I'm just going to switch to horizontals. I'm going to sketch a line, not worrying about its length. Now I would like the line thickness to be bigger so it shows up better. So I'm going to change the line thickness. Make this window a bit bigger. Set my line thickness to larger. And then tell it I want this to be at 0 in the Y. So I'm going to just keep creating horizontal lines at first at the appropriate location, and I'll trim them out later. So this line here should be 0.188. So I'm going to put negative 0.188. I'm not concerned with the length. I'm making them way too long. So this one here, we have a tolerance. So I'm going to create it in the middle of the tolerance. So I'll enter an equation up here. So enter negative 0.188 minus halfway between 0.188 and 198. So it's a 10 thou tolerance. I'll just add 5 thou. So once again, minus 0.188 minus another 0.188, and then I'll minus the 5 thou, put it in the middle of the tolerance zone. Move to the next horizontal line, which is here, and it's dimensioned awkwardly. So I'm going to have to, again, figure out the equation. This is from the bottom up. So the total part thickness is 1 inch. So we make a simple equation. We're going to go minus 1 inch. And then I will say plus 0.18 and plus this, or I can just create the minus 1 inch and use my parallel line to create these two. So I'll stick with that plan. Create this line at minus 1 inch. I'll temporarily exit the command, switch to create line parallel. So I'm going to create a line parallel. I can put the distance in first, or I can select the line. In this case, I'll select the line. I'll indicate the offset direction by clicking, and now I'll enter the distance of 0.188. I can apply that or continue. I'm now going to offset the 0.188 line to the middle of this tolerance zone, which is, again, I have a 10 thou, so 0.193 plus 5 thou, or 0.203 minus 5 thou gives me 0.198. So this time I'll offset this line in this direction by 0.198 and enter. I'll accept that. Go back to creating line endpoints and do some vertical lines. So I have a line over here. What's its x position is half of the inch and a quarter. So we'll put the equation in. We'll enter 1.25 divided by 2. We have another one over here. So this time it's negative 1.25 divided by 2. I can create these lines, or if it looks confusing, you can start your trimming. It's up to you. I can also create these, which are also 3/8 wide. So we'll start here, draw a vertical line. Half of 3/8 is what I want, so 0.375 divided by 2. I'll do the negative one. So it'll be negative 0.375 divided by 2. And I am going to stop there and do some trimming just for clarity. So I'll say OK. I'm going to activate trim. This time I'll use the divide command. So I want to select part of the entities I don't wish to keep. So this and this can go away. All of these up here can go. So I'm working across the top. These lines are at 0.38. So they come down into here. And this is also at 3/8 up here. So we want to be careful. One thing we can do right away though is get rid of all the excess around the part and just leave a grid. I'm going to stop trimming for a second and save my work. So I want to make sure we can visualize this. So this gap is 3/8. Means this section here in the middle needs to go. So let's go back into trim. In divide, I'm going to get rid of this section. So that's this opening. And these will get trimmed later. I need some wider lines. But with the 3/8, I don't need this section here. So we'll get rid of that. Okay. This section here is in here. I have another section where I don't need 3/8 right below it. So we'll get rid of that. And then we have the 3/8 wide gap here. So that means this piece of geometry needs to go, and this piece. So it's starting to take shape. I'll stop trimming there, create some more lines. So I still have the vertical line lock on. I want to create this line and this line. So this time I'll just work over here. The distance is half of 5/8, so I'll put in 0.625 divided by 2. Do another one on this side. And this time the equation is negative 0.625 divided by 2. And once again, for clarity, I'm going to use trim at this point. So I'm going to say OK. Come back to trim. I'll stick with divide. And we want this shape. So what do we know? Well, this has to go. This section goes. This section goes. All right, and I'm just going to work my way around here. And now we have the top half correct. So down on the bottom, this is also 5/8 about the center. So I'm going to stick with trim, but this time I'm going to use to point. So I'm going to trim that line down to the bottom. And I'll trim this line to the bottom. And again, I'll go back into my divide command to fix it up. So we can see that this line goes. This and this will go. This goes and this goes. We can do the same on the opposite side. These lines need to go. That goes. I now have this section correct, and I need the bottom. So I'm going to remove this and this. I can zoom in on it to make it easier, or I can also switch to trim one entity, and I select this line that I want to keep, and I'm going to trim it to here. Again, select the line on the side you want to keep and where you're trimming it to. So I'll accept that. If I now switch to my isometric view, we can see that's in the top. So how do I move this to the right plane? It's simple. We're going to choose X-Form, Translate 3D. I need to select all my entities, so I can hold Shift and click on one. That also checks my geometry is properly trimmed, because I couldn't select it all if they didn't touch one another. I'm going to end my selection by pressing Enter on the keyboard. And I'm going to tell it to move it from the top to the right side. I'll say OK. I'll fit my screen. Still an isometric view. I can now extrude this part for 2 5/8 inches. So we're going to say X-Form, Translate. This time I'm going to say All, X-Form Results, end my selection by pressing Enter. In my Translate window, I want Join in the delta X for 2.625. Okay, whoops, I went in Z, no problem. Put 0, go up to the proper field, put it in the correct direction. It's going the wrong way, so we flip it. I'll say OK, and we'll fit the screen, and we've now created our geometry properly.